Welcome to Maniac Movies, updates Wednesdays and Fridays, and I watched Psycho Goreman. God help me. And is that not one of the best titles ever?
Many moons ago, a nameless evil was imprisoned in a place far beyond reach.
Hurry up!
If he were ever to be released, it would spell certain doom for all existence.
Stephen Kostanski's Psycho Goreman was probably one of the most, if not the most anticipated horror movie of 2021. Now, of course, that schedule's all screwed up because there are a lot of things that were supposed to be released in 2020 that we're getting now, like Saint Maud, which I know a lot of people are really excited about. I personally am. The new Saw movie, which I think is going to suck, but fine, I'll probably watch it. But yeah, this one people were psyched about, and they were psyched about it because this is the dude who made The Void. Now, The Void is one of the ultimate cult horror flicks of the last 10 years. That movie came out of nowhere and blew everyone away, and The Void is an amazing movie. But this is not The Void. This is not The Void. This is the Stephen Kostanski that worked on Father's Day. This is the guy who did W is for Wish and ABCs of Death. This is very similar to that. It actually looked a lot like that short. And yeah, so Kostanski, he had a lot of clout in horror, in the horror community, and then for some random ass reason, he made a Leprechaun movie, which was fine, I guess. But this is the movie people were waiting for. They were waiting to see him do something creative and cool and different and unique again. And all those words do cover this movie, but you also gotta throw dumb as hell in there because this movie's very stupid. It knows it's stupid. It's trying to be stupid, but I've always been one who says that a movie, even if a movie is joking and intentionally being dumb, it's still being dumb. And that's why I was never like a huge fan of Machete, as a for instance. So I was really excited about this movie. I didn't know a lot about it going into because when I know I'm going to watch a movie, I prefer to just avoid spoilers and kind of go in as cold as possible. So I didn't know a whole lot about this movie. I knew the basic premise, and that sounded cool. Like you could so easily describe this movie as Rawhead Rex meets Pete's Dragon. So essentially, the premise, of course, is that this little girl this little suburban girl becomes the ruler of a malevolent, virtually indestructible alien monster called Psycho Goreman. She names him that. I think he said he didn't have a name. He's like, some call me the bringer of tears. She's like, no, that's stupid. I'm gonna call you Psycho Goreman. But she finds this amulet buried in her backyard that apparently hit there like a meteoroid, and she dug it up, and this thing gives her control over this guy. That's his source of power. So that's how his powers work, is that he draws them from this amulet, and whoever controls the amulet controls him. If he gains control of it himself, then he is, king of his own, master of his own destiny. And his destiny is to destroy the universe. He specifically says that this thing is evil. He was raised as a slave for a race called the clerics, I believe. And when he stumbled across this ancient artifact, the amulet, it gave him powers of essentially invulnerability, magic, ability to throw energy strikes. So it made him into kind of a superhero slash man god slash monster. But the clerics, again, I hope I'm getting that right. If I didn't, I'm gonna sound real stupid. But the clerics, they managed to just barely defeat him, and they took away his source of power, but they didn't kill him, which they've come to regret. And the clerics have gained this, union of other space creatures to try and destroy Psycho Goreman, who has landed on Earth. But what they don't know is that Psycho Goreman is enslaved by a little 10-year-old badass girl who just kind of uses him to dick around with her friends and family. That's a funny premise, right? But this movie is never taking itself seriously, not even a bit. This is never supposed to be real world. This is always jokey. This is always a gag. And that, I would have responded more strongly to this movie if it were a little bit more serious, if it had ever taken itself seriously for a minute, because it just really doesn't. If a character dies, it's a joke. If there's everything's a joke. There's no weight to it, and a lot of the special effects, which people are weirdly praising, they look like dog shit. I mean, I get that it's a joke, and they're obviously inspired by like the Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, like those '90s kids shows where the effects were clearly thrown together that week, and that's fine, I guess, but it doesn't exactly help my immersion that I'm sitting there looking at something that looks like a really expensive Halloween decoration. But Psycho Goreman himself looks fine. He looks and sounds a lot like a blue version of the Djinn from Wishmaster. And I think they knew that because he straight up says "as you wish" at one point, so that had to have been a nod to the Wishmaster. But yeah, so for the first 30 minutes of this movie, because this movie's getting pretty across the board praise, I thought I was going to be the turd in the punch bowl. It's like, man, this is not working for me. And a lot of it was expectations. I did not realize it was going to be as silly as it was. But also, I'm not a fan of the old sitcom joke of the kids who act like adults. Like that whole Lisa Simpson thing where Lisa Simpson's like 8, but she acts like she's a 20-year-old. Like she's like a 20-year-old college student, you know, like, and that has become so common in sitcoms. And movies do it too, but not as often. But I find that joke so tiresome, and it gets old so fast for me. And that's what I thought this movie was doing, because the little girl is doing that kind of thing where she's, you know, she acts like a rebellious 17-year-old, only she's like 10, and she's got an older brother with her too. But the older brother actually like acts like a 12-year-old. Like, I mean, as a for instance, at one point she tells this guy, this kid, she has a crush on, "Give us a spin, baby." And it's like, I don't like humor like this. But as the movie went on, I actually became, she won me over because I realized that it was purely an act. Like, the movie wasn't pretending that she was this mature. It was instead that she was just imitating this. And this little girl ultimately is just Louise from Bob's Burgers. If you remember the little girl with the pink bunny ears that's crazy as all hell, she's like that. She's like, she's imitating it. She's not supposed to be that mature. She's purely just imitating someone who is more mature than her. And I gotta say that this movie is saved 100% for me by the lead actors, the little girl and Psycho Goreman. Neither of these actors had much of a resume behind them, but they're both phenomenal. And especially with the little girl, man, they hit pay dirt finding this actress. If this girl sticks with it, she could be an A-list actress because her comedic performance in this movie is so spot on. Her timing, her physical comedy is all so good. She does a lot with her face. She's very fidgety, and you know, like if she's happy, she's smiling. If she's mad, she's mad. Yeah, like she does it, but it works because she's a kid, so it doesn't read like an overacting. I mean, there's one scene where she's dancing that's just funny as all hell. She looks like Iggy Pop if Iggy Pop was a 10-year-old girl. So, and God, so she becomes controller of Psycho Gore, man. She finds him after he's killed a bunch of like random thugs in a warehouse, and it's, you know, it's kind of almost the exact opposite of T2, you know, like Terminator 2, where John Connor becomes control of the Terminator, and he's like telling the Terminator, you know, you need to be moral, you need to not hurt people. In this, the little girl thinks it's funny when he kills people, so it's kind of the opposite, but she's not like out trying to rampage through the city or anything, though. She's basically just using him like a giant My Buddy doll or something. Like, she makes him play dodgeball or crazy ball. She made up her own game called Crazy Ball. She's making him play crazy ball with him, and she's like uses him to prank her dad. She makes the demons come out of her cookie jar when she doesn't want her dad stealing her cookies to scare the hell out of him. And her dad is played by the guy from Father's Day, actually. He's in it a good bit. Again, you might not recognize him immediately because he's gotten older. I mean, Father's Day was what, 12 years ago now, but he's good. He's funny. And the mom, I mean, most of the cast is doing what they're supposed to do. So, you know, and she makes him play drums. She makes Psycho Gorman play drums in her band. And I have that friggin' song. It's appropriate that I use that word instead of fuck. Because she has this song she sings, "I'm the heckin' best. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Frig all the rest. Frig off. Frig yourself." And I have had that song stuck in my head ever since I saw this movie. And Psycho Gorman is so annoyed and so embarrassed, and you know, at one point they make him dress up like a human being, and he's giant, so it's like it looks like if he just flexed, it would just explode the shirt off him like goddamn Hulk Hogan or something. So, and Psycho Gorman, his backstory is done in that sort of you know, heavy use of miniatures, heavy blue screening. It looks a lot, again, a lot, or even Manborg, which I forgot to mention here, because this guy also worked on Manborg. Just a lot of that kind of special effect. So, Psycho Gorman is, you know, kind of a dark side of the moon take on Terminator 2. Just the kid becomes, you know, master of this monster type thing. And it's funny. I laughed a fair amount. It's got some, you know, amusing, over-the-top gore moments. You know, the melted cop is pretty damn funny. Again, I wasn't as blown away on this as a lot of people seem to be, and I would watch The Void 3 times in a row before I'd watch this again. But if this was on in an afternoon, I'd definitely watch it. And people who like comedies more than horror, especially people with heavy nostalgia for like 90s kids TV shows will enjoy this. I wish it had been darker. I wish it had been more serious, but it was amusing, and I don't regret my time with it. I do regret spending the money to rent it because it's a Shudder movie, which I also didn't know, and I have Shudder, so I could have watched this thing for free if I'd waited a couple months. But whatever. I pissed away $8. But yeah, this would be a really good movie to watch with friends at a party because this is a good movie to talk over the parts that are stupid and just laugh at the parts that actually grab your attention. Anyway, I was a little disappointed, but not bad. Kind of funny.
Psycho Goreman.
It was nice meeting you.
It would be nicer if you were dead.
All right, bye.